Have you ever wondered why a food that's supposed to give you energy leaves you feeling drained and bloated instead? Picture this. You've just finished what you thought was a healthy, hearty bowl of lentils, maybe even congratulating yourself for choosing such a nutritious meal. But within an hour, that familiar heaviness settles in your stomach, your eyelids grow heavy, and you find yourself reaching for the couch, wondering où votre énergie après-midi a disparu. Here's the truth that most of us have never been told. Even the healthiest foods can work against us when we don't prepare them the right way. For decades, we've been making the same innocent mistakes with lentils, turning this ancient superfood into something that actually robs our bodies of the very nutrients we're trying to gain. What should fuel us ends up exhausting us, and what should nourish us leaves us feeling worse than before we ate. Today, I'm going to share with you the simple preparation secrets that can transform lentils from an energy thief into the powerhouse food nature intended them to be, so you can finally enjoy all their benefits without paying the price with your comfort and vitality. Number 1. The effect of lentils on the body. Margaret thought she was doing everything right. At 72, she'd made the switch to more plant-based meals, just like her doctor suggested. Every Tuesday, she'd prepare a big pot of lentil soup, proud of herself for choosing something so wholesome and nutritious. But by Wednesday afternoon, something wasn't right. That familiar fog would settle over her mind, her joints would ache more than usual, and she'd find herself doubled over with stomach cramps that reminded her of being a child with a terrible stomachache. For months, Margaret couldn't connect the dots. How could something so healthy make her feel so sick? She'd grown up hearing her grandmother praise lentils as poor man's meat, a gift from the earth that could sustain a family. But what Margaret didn't know was that inside every lentil, nature has placed tiny guardians called anti-nutrients. These compounds, with names like lectins and phytates, are like invisible sentries protecting the seed until it's ready to sprout. When we eat lentils without proper preparation, these guardians don't just step aside. They fight back. Think of it this way. Your digestive system is like a well-organized library, and nutrients are the books you're trying to check out. But when these anti-nutrients are active, they're like a stern librarian who won't let you access what you need. The phytates grab onto the iron, zinc, and calcium your body is desperately trying to absorb, especially important as we age and our bones need every bit of support they can get. The lectines irritantes la muqueuse, délicates de vos intestins, provoquant ce ballonnement et cette inflammation inconfortable qui peuvent vous laisser sentir 20 ans plus vieux que vous ne l'êtes. What breaks my heart is how many people like Margaret suffer in silence, thinking their bodies are just betraying them with age. They start avoiding foods that could actually nourish them, all because no one ever taught them the ancient wisdom of proper preparation. Your grandmother's grandmother knew these secrets, passed down through generations of women who understood that food was medicine, but only when treated with respect. The transformation in Margaret's life didn't come from a prescription bottle or expensive supplement. It came from learning to treat her lentils the way countless generations had before her. Once she discovered the simple steps that neutralize these troublesome compounds, her Tuesday soup became a source of genuine vitality instead of weekly suffering. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next, because your body deserves to feel nourished, not punished, by the food you eat. Number 2. Cooking method and its impact on digestion. Robert stared at the bag of dried lentils on his kitchen counter, feeling defeated. His wife Helen used to handle all the cooking, and now, 2 years after losing her, he was still struggling to feed himself properly. His daughter had bought him the lentils, insisting they'd be easy and healthy, but every time he threw them in a pot with some water and boiled them for 20 minutes, he'd end up with a stomach full of regret and a night of discomfort. What Robert didn't realize was that he was essentially asking his 78-year-old digestive system to break down tiny nutritional fortresses without giving it the proper tools. Those lentils were fighting back because he hadn't learned the gentle art of coaxing them into submission. In traditional cultures, cooks understood that some foods need time and patience to reveal their gifts. They knew that rushing this process was like trying to force a rosebud to bloom. It just creates a mess. Here's what changes everything, and it starts the night before you want to eat those lentils. Pour them into a bowl and cover them with water, but here's the secret your great-grandmother knew. Add a splash of something acidic. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar or the juice of half a lemon works like magic. This isn't just soaking, it's transforming. That gentle acid starts breaking down those stubborn phytates while you sleep, like morning dew softening hard ground before planting. After 8 to 12 hours, those lentils have changed. Rinse them well, really well, washing away the compounds that were trying to protect the seed but would only hurt your body. Now comes the cooking, but not the rushed, impatient boiling that so many of us default to. Place them in a pot with fresh water, bring to a gentle boil, then immediately drain and rinse again. This step washes away even more of what could cause you trouble. Start fresh with new water, add your lentils back to the pot, and let them cook slowly on medium heat for 45 minutes à 1 heure complète. This isn't wasted time, it's an investment in how you'll feel for the rest of the day. If you want to go one step further, let those soaked lentils sit in a damp cloth for a day or two until tiny sprouts appear. This ancient technique turns those defensive compounds into digestible nutrients, like watching a suspicious stranger become a trusted friend. While they're cooking, throw in a bay leaf or two. Your Italian neighbors have been doing this for centuries, not just for flavor, but because bay leaves naturally reduce the gas-producing compounds that can turn a healthy meal into an uncomfortable evening. Add some cumin, fennel, or fresh ginger. These aren't just seasonings, they're digestive aids that have been helping people enjoy legumes for thousands of years. Never ever add baking soda to speed things up. Yes, it might make them cook faster, but it destroys the very vitamins you're cooking them to get. Patience is your friend here, and your digestive system will thank you with comfortable, peaceful evenings instead of restless, uncomfortable nights. When Robert finally learned these steps, his relationship with food began to heal, one properly prepared pot of lentils at a time. Number 3. Food combinations and their impact on digestion. Dorothy learned this lesson the hard way at her grandson's wedding reception. She'd been so careful with her diet lately, choosing the lentil salad over the heavier options, feeling virtuous as she added some bread roll and a serving of rice pilaf to her plate. Within an hour, she was miserable. Her beautiful navy dress felt tight around her middle, and the bloating was so severe she had to excuse herself from the dancing she'd been looking forward to all week. What Dorothy experienced that evening wasn't bad luck or age catching up with her. It was the result of asking her digestive system to perform an impossible task. Picture your stomach as a wise old kitchen, one that's been serving your family for decades. This kitchen has specific tools for specific jobs, and when you ask it to prepare completely different types of food at the same time, everything breaks down. When you eat lentils with white rice or bread, you're essentially asking your digestive system to be in two places at once. Lentils need alkaline conditions and specific enzymes to break down properly, taking their sweet time to release their nutrients slowly and steadily. But refined starches like white rice and bread demand immediate attention, flooding your system with quick-burning glucose that your body has to deal with right now. The result is chaos. Your blood sugar spikes rapidly, then crashes just as fast, leaving you feeling exhausted and hungry again within 2 hours. Meanwhile, the poor lentils sit partially digested, fermenting in your gut, creating gas and discomfort that can last for hours. It's like trying to have a quiet, thoughtful conversation while someone else is shouting in the same room. The combination gets even more problematic when you add fruit like bananas or sweet drinks to the mix. Now you've created a perfect storm in your digestive tract. The fruit wants to move through quickly, but it gets trapped behind the slowly digesting lentils, fermenting and creating uncomfortable gas and bloating that can make you swear off healthy eating altogether. Perhaps the most troublesome combination is lentils with meat. Your well-meaning family might serve you a hearty stew with both beef and lentils, thinking they're giving you extra protein and nutrition. But what they're actually doing is forcing your digestive system to produce two completely different sets of enzymes simultaneously. Animal proteins need strong stomach acid and specific enzymes, while lentils require gentler, more alkaline conditions. The solution isn't to give up lentils or avoid family gatherings. It's to eat them with respect for how your body actually works. Let lentils be the star of the show, surrounded by gentle, fibrous vegetables like spinach, carrots, or zucchini. These vegetables actually help your digestion work more efficiently, providing the fiber that helps move everything through your system smoothly. When Dorothy learned to enjoy her lentils with a simple salad of leafy greens and roasted vegetables, keeping the bread and rice for a different meal entirely, she discovered something wonderful. She could eat until satisfied without that uncomfortable stuffed feeling. Her energy stayed steady throughout the afternoon, and she never had to loosen her belt or excuse herself from activities she enjoyed. Number 4. Misconceptions about lentils and weight. Frank couldn't understand why the scale kept climbing. At 67, he'd switched to what he thought was the perfect diet for losing those stubborn 20 pounds his doctor kept mentioning. Every lunch, he'd eat a big bowl of lentils, convincing himself he was being virtuous while his golf buddies ordered burgers. But instead of the steady weight loss he expected, Frank found himself gaining weight and feeling sluggish every afternoon, sometimes falling asleep in his favorite armchair when he meant to work in the garden. The cruel irony was that Frank had fallen victim to one of the most persistent myths about healthy eating: that all healthy foods work the same way for everyone, all the time. He'd heard lentils were good for weight loss, and his logical mind concluded that more lentils would mean more weight loss. What he didn't understand was that his preparation method and portion sizes were turning this potentially helpful food into a weight gain trap. Here's what was happening in Frank's body every afternoon. His improperly prepared lentils, combined with crackers and sometimes a piece of fruit for dessert, were creating massive spikes in his blood sugar. When lentils aren't soaked and cooked properly, or when they're eaten with refined carbohydrates, they can act more like fast-burning fuel than the slow, steady energy source they're meant to be. Saudade de açúcar. Ele teria aumento rápido de açúcar no sangue, desencadeando uma enxurrada de insulina que armazenaria o excesso de glicose como gordura ao redor de sua cintura. Even worse, within 2 hours of eating, Frank's blood sugar would crash, leaving him ravenously hungry and craving more food. His body, confused by the roller coaster of blood sugar, would signal for more fuel, especially simple carbohydrates. So Frank would find himself reaching for crackers or fruit, starting the whole cycle over again. By evening, he'd consumed far more calories than his body needed, all while believing he was eating a diet food. The problem wasn't just the preparation, it was the portions. Frank was eating portions sized for a 30-year-old construction worker, not a retired man with a slower metabolism. Even perfectly prepared lentils can overwhelm your digestive system if you eat too much. Your stomach is about the size of your fist, but Frank was trying to fill a soup bowl, forcing his digestive system to work overtime and leaving him feeling heavy and tired. The transformation came when Frank learned to treat lentils with the respect they deserve. First, he cut his portions in half, eating just enough to feel satisfied, not stuffed. He paired them with plenty of non-starchy vegetables like steamed broccoli and a small salad, which helped him feel full while keeping his blood sugar stable. Most importantly, he learned to eat his lentils as a complete meal, not as a side dish with bread or crackers. When Frank made these changes, something beautiful happened. The afternoon energy crashes disappeared. His clothes started fitting better within a month. His doctor was impressed with his blood sugar levels at his next visit. Frank learned that the secret to healthy eating isn't just choosing the right foods, it's understanding how those foods work in your unique body at this stage of your life. Number 5. Importance of listening to the body. Ruth had been ignoring the whispers for months. Every time she ate her weekly lentil curry, her body would send gentle signals: a slight heaviness in her stomach, a need to unbutton her pants, a subtle fatigue that crept in during her favorite evening TV shows. But Ruth, like so many of us who've spent decades putting everyone else's needs first, had become an expert at ignoring what her own body was trying to tell her. À 74 ans, Ruth avait vécu une époque où on nettoyait sa assiette quoi qu'il arrive, où la nourriture était précieuse et le gaspillage honteux. The idea that her body might have opinions about what and how much she ate seemed almost selfish. But those whispers were getting louder, turning into uncomfortable gas, bloating that made her favorite dresses unwearable, and an exhaustion that reminded her too much of her mother's final years. Your body speaks to you in a language more ancient and reliable than any nutrition book or medical study. After decades of living in your skin, carrying you through raising children, building careers, and navigating life's challenges, your digestive system has earned the right to have its preferences heard. When your stomach feels heavy after eating, that's not weakness or age catching up with you. That's information. The tragedy is how many of us have been taught to override these signals, to push through discomfort in the name of eating what we think we should eat. We tell ourselves that feeling bloated after dinner is normal, that afternoon energy crashes are just part of getting older, that we should be grateful for any food and never complain about how it makes us feel. But here's what Ruth discovered when she finally started listening. Her body had been trying to teach her exactly how to prepare and eat lentils for her unique needs. Some days she could handle a full serving. Other days, when her digestion was slower or she was feeling stressed, half a serving with extra vegetables was perfect. Sometimes her body wanted them with warming spices like ginger and cumin. Other times, simpler preparations felt better. Ruth learned to pay attention to how she felt 2 hours after eating. Did she have steady energy, or was she reaching for a nap? Was her stomach comfortable, or did she feel bloated and gassy? Did she feel satisfied and content, or hungry and craving more food? These weren't random experiences. They were her body's report card on how well she'd nourished herself. The beautiful thing about this approach is that it's never too late to start listening. Your body's wisdom hasn't disappeared with age, it's actually become more refined. You know yourself better now than you did at 30 or 40. You understand the difference between true hunger and emotional eating, between satisfaction and being stuffed, between foods that energize you and foods that drain you. When Ruth started honoring her body's feedback, adjusting her lentil preparation based on how she felt, rather than following rigid rules, something wonderful happened. Her relationship with food transformed from a source of confusion and discomfort into a daily opportunity for self-care and nourishment. She realized that listening to her body wasn't selfish. It was the foundation of true health and vitality in these precious years of life. Here's what I hope you take away from our time together today. You don't have to accept discomfort as the price of eating healthy. You don't have to choose between nourishing your body and feeling good after meals. The simple act of soaking lentils overnight, cooking them slowly, and listening to how your body responds isn't just about better digestion. It's about reclaiming your right to feel vibrant and comfortable in your own skin. Think about Margaret, who went from dreading her Tuesday soup to looking forward to it, or Frank, qui a enfin compris pourquoi l'échelle ne coopérait pas. Ce ne sont pas des interventions médicales complexes ou des solutions coûteuses. They were small acts of self-respect, honoring both ancient wisdom and your body's unique needs. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to eat foods that make you feel good, not just foods that are supposed to be good for you. You've spent decades caring for others, and now it's time to extend that same patience and attention to yourself. Your body has been your faithful companion through all of life's seasons. It deserves to be heard. The beautiful truth is that when you prepare food with intention and eat with awareness, you're not just feeding your body. You're practicing a gentle form of self-care that can transform ordinary meals into acts of nourishment and respect. Which of these lessons spoke to your heart today? Was it the reminder to listen to your body's wisdom? Or perhaps the discovery that small changes in preparation can make such a big difference? If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Sometimes the most meaningful gifts we can give are the simple truths that help us feel better in our daily lives. I'll be back soon with more ways to honor your body's needs while enjoying the foods you love. Until then, may every meal be a small celebration of taking good care of yourself.